Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update. And in the news this afternoon, Government MP Robert Miller, upset as a constituent, faced a challenge with a filthy uncovered drain. Disturbed by a woman's tumble into foul-smelling water in a rugged drain behind a bus stop on Dawkins Drive in Portmore, St. Catherine on Friday, June 13, Member of Parliament Robert Miller has renewed his plea for a measure to be implemented to protect the people who travel in the area. Miller, the MP for St. Catherine South Eastern, has also called on the responsible agency to determine the source of the water, which appears at regular intervals, to determine the source of the problem and to provide a permanent fix. I had written to the National Works Agency for them to evaluate the state of the canal. The reality is that the canal needs to be a concrete structure. Right now, it is just mud and dirt. I wrote to the NWA about 2 years ago to do an assessment of this particular gully because it stems from Portsmouth all the way to the toll area, and something needs to be done in terms of concreting it to ensure that it is not a hazard to persons like what transpired with the lady last week, Miller said on Thursday during an interview with the news at his constituency office, meters from the foul-smelling water. All I can say to the citizens is to be careful. In that area at night, it is very dark, so persons might not see or know that the canal is here. Those are things as a government we have to put in place to ensure that we protect our citizens as best as possible. I would beseech the municipal corporation to put measures in place to ensure the welfare and the safety of our citizens is well taken care of. I will play my part to ensure whatever I can do from central government in terms of lobbying. I am more than willing to assist the municipal corporation in getting that gully concreted and putting in rails or a covering to ensure we protect our citizens, Miller said, adding that he hopes to contact the woman who fell into the water last week. On the day of the incident, the woman told the news that the water was so stink that she felt so ashamed after the fall. She said after she emerged from the body of water, a woman who she did not know sought to cheer her up and wash her off. According to the woman, who is a domestic helper, she has been off the job since then as she sustained an injury from a glass bottle when she fell into the water. I can't go to work for now because I can't wear any shoes. I'm a domestic helper, and I had to call in and tell my supervisor that I fell into dirty water and got a cut on my foot, she said last week. On Thursday, Miller described the situation as untenable. He accepted that it is a health hazard and said he would not want a disease outbreak to occur in his constituency as a result of the problem. The reality is that the constituency is plagued with sewage issues, and I know the minister without a portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, is dealing with the sewage issue. He came and toured the facility, but to have sewage escaping into our gullies is untenable and cannot continue. We just want the entities responsible to do a thorough investigation to come and find out if in fact it is sewage. From the odor, it appears to be sewage. I might be wrong, but in my layman idea of what the sewage is, it looks like sewage, smells like sewage, so chances are it is sewage, said Miller. However, he acknowledged that he could be wrong. I am not competent in that area. The public health entities would have to come and do their own investigations because the stench coming from the gully is unbearable. To the best of my knowledge, it is really coming from a business complex near my office, charged Miller. He added that while it is the responsibility of the Portmore Municipal Corporation to clean the canal, he partnered with a businessman in the area to have the canal cleaned in the past. I have cleaned this particular gully repeatedly, and even at the start of this year, a businessman who has property on the stretch has always been complaining about the stench coming from the gully. He contacted me and paid his own resources to clean the gully around February or March this year. He paid to clean it, and I got some workers for him. He had been contacting me for quite some time. I told him that it is really the jurisdiction of the local authority and when I can, I will always try to clean it as best as possible. I have always done that, especially during the Christmas time when we would get mitigation money from the government, Miller said. According to Miller, he has brought the issue to the attention of the local government representative for the area so that he could take it to the municipal corporation to trigger the health team to investigate the matter. I have not heard anything about it since making contact around March or April of this year. Vendor charged, accused of gun attack on ex-girlfriend. Westmoreland police have charged 28-year-old Orlando Scott, otherwise called the Popsy, vendor of Whitehall Negril, Westmoreland, with several offenses under the Firearms Act in relation to an incident that occurred in his community on Saturday, October 7, 2023. Scott was charged with shooting with intent, using a firearm to commit a scheduled offense, assault at a common law, and malicious destruction of property. Reports from the Negril police are that at about 6 p.m., Scott went to the house where his ex-girlfriend was. He approached her and started to accuse her of cheating on him. He then took a firearm from his waistband, pointed it at her, and threatened to kill her. The ex-girlfriend, in fear for her life, ran inside her house and hid. Scott then fired shots on a Toyota Crown motor car that is owned by his ex-girlfriend. A man who is the father of Scott's ex-girlfriend was outside and saw what was happening. He then took a knife and approached Scott. Scott then shot the man and left the area. The man was taken to the hospital for treatment. A report was made to the police and an investigation was launched. Scott was arrested and was interviewed and then charged with the offenses. His court date has not been finalized. Hairdresser killed in another Clarendon crash. A 19-year-old hairdresser died in a motor vehicle collision along the Clarendon Park Main Road in Clarendon on Sunday. The deceased has been identified as Amoy Smith of Magtown District in Manchester. The Forum Parts police say about 4:45 p.m. a grey Nissan motor truck was traveling along the roadway when it collided with a missile brand motorcycle heading in the opposite direction. Smith, who was a pillion passenger, was thrown from the bike and sustained multiple injuries. The police were alerted, and upon their arrival, Smith was transported to hospital where she was pronounced dead. That fatality came just a day after another deadly crash on Saturday in Salt River, also in Clarendon, which claimed 3 lives, including that of an 8-year-old girl. In that incident, police reports indicate that around 9:15 a.m., the driver of a blue Toyota Corolla motor car made a right turn onto the Salt River Main Road and collided with a motor truck traveling westerly. The Clarendon police have launched investigations into both incidents. According to data from the Public Safety and the Traffic Enforcement Branch, 182 civilians died in collisions up to June 23. The figure is 16 deaths fewer than the 198 deaths over the corresponding period in 2024. Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.